Hi, good morning, everyone. Welcome to our video games webinar, the video games industry, growth and opportunities. I'm Marcus, the MC for today. We still have some time before the webinar begins, so sit back, relax, and the first speaker will begin shortly. We'll be organizing an Instagram Live right after our last speaker session at 11:30 to continue our discussions on video games. So please do join us, and you can scan the QR code to follow our Instagram at PhillipCapital to stay tuned. We also have an upcoming giveaway during the Instagram Live where you stand a chance to win a brand new Razer keyboard. Speaking of giveaways, we are also currently running an Instagram giveaway with gaming prizes from Nintendo and Razer. If you would like to participate, just head over to our Instagram page or scan the QR code on the screen, which will bring you to the giveaway post. Follow the steps in the post and you will stand a chance to win one of the 3 prizes we have listed for the giveaway. Terms and conditions apply. This webinar is also live streamed and recorded on our PhillipCapital Facebook page. Without further ado, we'll start today's webinar. First up, we have Mr. Jamin Wong, Head of Asia ETF Business Development, Product Development Director at Nikko Asset Management Asia Limited. Jamin, please.
Thank you, Marcus. Marcus, could you please stop share so I could share my slides?
Sure.
Thank you. I assume everyone can see?
Okay.
Can see, right?
Yes, we can see.
Thank you. Well, a very good Saturday morning to everybody. I'm very glad to see all of you online. Well, just now, earlier this morning, at about 9 a.m., when Marcus and I tried to connect to Zoom, I think Zoom was having some technical issues and we took a very long time to connect. So we are a bit worried whether everyone else would be able to, but well, seems like it played out well. So welcome everybody to the Phillip Securities Video Games Day. I think this is a great initiative by Phillip Securities, and thank you to Phillip Securities for inviting me to join in for today's webinar and have the opportunity to speak to everyone. Once again, a very good morning, and it is a good morning indeed. You know, I checked the weather forecast the first thing I woke up this morning, and it seems like today is a nice, sunny, yet not too hot day. And you know what's interesting? It seems like today is going to be the only day in the next week that is not going to rain. So it's really a great day, and it's always good to kick off your day to learn more about investing and to learn more about this very exciting sector which is what I'm going to talk about today, e-games. Now, before I start, maybe I can do a quick introduction of myself. Well, my name is Jermin Wong, and I am the head of Asia ETF Business Development at Nikko Asset Management. Now, Nikko AM, a quick introduction of my firm. For those of you who are not familiar with Nikko Asset Management, we are one of Asia's largest asset managers. Today, we've got AUM of about $280 billion US. Interestingly, 40% of our total AUM are in ETFs. And our ETF AUM is about $110 billion US. We are one of the largest ETF issuers in the world. We're ranked top 10 in the world. We are ranked definitely one of the leading ETF issuers in Singapore. If any of you investors have invested in ETFs in Singapore, you probably would have heard of Nikko Asset Management or would have already been invested in one or more of our ETFs. Now, we've also got ETFs in Hong Kong. One of our ETFs in Hong Kong is has a theme that is similar to the topic I'm talking about today, which is part of the reason why I was invited to join today's webinar. Well, enough about introductions. Without further ado, let me go straight into the global e-games market. Now, I took a look at today's agenda, right? And I think you've got some very exciting topics with great speakers coming your way later in the morning. So as an introduction, I've decided not to make this too heavy. I'm just going to give a very brief overview of the overall global games market, some of the trends that we have seen, and perhaps a little bit of a conceptualization over what are some of the future possibilities of our gaming, or rather e-games market going forward. First off, if we take a look at this chart, what we can see really is that the global games market has grown by leaps and bounds. Today, revenue for the global games market is about 180 billion. But, 180 billion itself is, it doesn't mean much. But what's interesting is if you look at the growth of the market over the past 10 years, you can see that it's been growing very, very steadily, very consistently, and very steadily. One thing in particular to note is, well, the games market itself is split into various sectors, right? So there's mobile gaming, there is PC games, and then there are console games. PC games meaning the games that you play on your PC, on your computer. Console games, your PlayStation, Sony PlayStation, your Nintendo Wii, your Nintendo Switch. And of course, mobile games, which are the games that we play off our mobile phone. And you can see here that the largest area of growth, growing an average of 26.8% year on year. So a CAGR since 2012, 26.8%, comes from the growth of mobile games, which really, I can't say is a surprise, right? Given the advancement of mobile technology, mobile technology really has seen great advancements. Now I wonder if I could, I love to do this in person actually, because I wanted to see, do a poll to see how many of the 145 participants we have online, 146 now, today actually recognize this picture here on the right, called the Apollo Guidance Computer. This Apollo Guidance Computer, it's this weird looking device here. What is it really? I mean, it looks like a calculator, right? Now, 20th July 1969, that was a momentous day in the history of mankind. It was the day where the Apollo 11, Neil Armstrong, touched down on the Sea of Tranquility, and it marked man's first step on the moon. Now, this would not have been possible without the Apollo guidance computer. So this calculator-looking device was responsible for navigating the Apollo 11 spacecraft from Earth through space to the moon. And the Apollo guidance computer had, back then in 1969, had a clock speed of 0.043 megahertz. Now we fast forward 50 years. 50 years later, our phones, our iPhone and our Samsung Galaxy S20, like you can see in my photo here, has a clock speed of 2,840 megahertz. That is 66,000 times faster than the Apollo guidance computer. Now just think about that for a second, right? Like this computer guided a spacecraft to the moon. And today, the phone that we are holding in our hands is 66,000 times faster than that. With this kind of speed, with this kind of connectivity, technology, clarity in graphics, it is no surprise, right? The advancements of mobile technology has led to this huge growth in mobile games. And you know what? Do you see the advancements in mobile technology stopping anytime soon? I really don't think so. I mean, just look at mobile phones today. You compare it to the mobile phones that we had 5 years ago, it's completely different. And I'm pretty certain that 5 years later, mobile phones will be very different from how it's like today, right? So mobile gaming is going to be an area of growth, has been an area of growth, and it's going to be continue to be an area of growth over the next 5 to 10 years easily. And the thing about gaming, right, is that everyone plays. I mean, we probably all have played this or have heard of somebody who played this game before. Pokemon Go. I just took this as an example. It is owned by Niantic, which is eventually owned by Nintendo, one of the gaming stocks, a popular gaming stock listed in Japan, right? And Pokemon Go, as you can see from the photos, people are going crazy about Pokemon Go. There were a time where, you know, even in Singapore, you head down to Raffles Place, you see many people crowding at a single place. Why? Because there was a rare Pokemon there that we're trying to catch. So many people are playing, young, old, in whatever age group and whatever gender. If you look at the picture on the right, at the bottom right, you see this old gentleman's rather senior looking, riding a bicycle with like 10 mobile phones in front of him, probably catching Pokemon for other people for a living, right? So my point being is that everybody plays. Like Pokemon Go was an exceptional game and it was an intergenerational hit, right? Everybody was playing. Which brings me to my next point, that today, there are a total of 2.5 billion gamers worldwide. And this gamer base continues to grow across different age groups and genders. It's expected to rise to 2.7 billion by the end of this year. And that is well over 30% of our world's population, which means that you throw a stone, every 3 person, you hit 1 person that is a gamer, who has played some kind of game or are playing some kind of game, regardless of whether it is PC, it is console, or it is mobile. Most likely, if it's somebody on the MRT, it's likely going to be mobile. I mean, so many popular mobile games out there, right? Games like Candy Crush, games like Clash of Clans. I'm sure many of you have heard of or even played these games before. And you know, when I was a long time ago, when I was much younger as a kid, I used to love to play games. I would kind of lock myself in my room and play games back then. And you know, I think there tends to be a stereotype where, especially amongst the older generation, that games are not good and games affect your studies. Well, all that is quite true. They also think that, you know, people who game tends to be, you know, teenage boys, boys who are, you know, in their early days. Well, but what does the data actually tell us? That's actually completely untrue. Firstly, in terms of gender diversity, 54% of gamers are men and 46% of gamers are women. There's a very good balance between, well, men and women when it comes to the diversity among gamers. And not only that, but in terms of age group, you can see that, well, while it is true that most of our gamers are between 21 to 35, even some of the senior citizens, the age between 51 to 65, form a very substantial part of this breakdown of gamers. 10% of women are between 51 to 65, and 7% are men between 51 to 65. Which leads me well to my next point. Again, very interesting. So this picture you see here is a lady in Japan called Hamako Mori. She's 90 years old. She's 91 today. Nicknamed the Gamer Grandma. She plays a wide variety of games. Fortnite being one of them, a very popular game by Epic Games, which is actually owned by Tencent. And she has hundreds of thousands of YouTube subscribers. Well, in my PowerPoint presentation here, it says 320,000, but this is a little dated. I checked actually last night, and right now she's got 520,000 YouTube subscribers watching her play games. And again, this kind of leads me to my next point, which it's very interesting because today, gaming itself is not just about playing games. It is transforming into a type of sport. It is transforming into a type of entertainment. So consumers are not just paying money to play games. Consumers have also started to be paying money to watch other people play games. It is like a sport. It's just like we subscribe to our English Premier League. We want to watch football. There are many people out there who would pay good money to watch someone else game and play games. And I will talk a little bit more about that later. But one interesting, kind of thing to note is 47% of global gaming revenue was generated in Asia Pacific. So Asia really is the fastest area of growth of gaming. No surprise, due to China and Japan. I would say most of gaming revenue, if you look at a single country, is still in North America, but Asia Pacific has come up quite strongly. So where we are located, Singapore, as one of the key hubs of Asia Pacific. We are in a very key hub of an area of growth of gaming, to be investing in some of these e-gaming stocks. And it is a different kind of entertainment. So when we talk about games, I think many people kind of don't really understand the gaming as an industry or how big it potentially is. Now, again, this chart is a little dated. I apologize for that, right? So e-games, it's no revenue. It's no longer 152 billion. As of 2020, it was around 180 billion. And in 2021, we expect further growth to hit it somewhere close to 200 B. But my point being that e-games today is revenue in this area. It's already larger than music and movies combined. Again, sometimes that seems a bit mind-blowing, right? I mean, we go, there's so many new movies coming out. We go to the cinemas, we watch all these new Hollywood blockbusters like Shang-Chi that kind of just came out. We listen to music all day, there's Spotify, etc. But you know what? The e-games industry has got more revenue than movies and music combined. I took a screenshot of this photo and I wanted to show everybody. When I first looked at this photo, this was probably about a year ago, I thought this was a concert, but it's not. This is the finals of League of Legends in Korea a number of years ago. So this is a esports, e-games finals, and as you can see, I'm not sure whether you can. I don't seem to be able to annotate my screen, but if you look at the That big TV in the photo on the right and on the left, these are commentators. So we've got live commentators commenting on two teams playing against each other with a stadium full of people who paid money to come in to watch the finals tournament competition between these two teams. So this is, which brings me back to my point. Today, people are looking at games not just as a form of entertainment for themselves to play the game, but really as a form of entertainment to consume, to watch other people play this sport. And that's, very important because, again, this is just data and stats, right? Where you see the esports viewership has taken over traditional sports. League of Legends finals back in 2019 saw 44 million viewers, which is, much more than Wimbledon and NBA. And I was saying that this is important because this is a very key source of revenue. And more importantly, when a sport becomes a sport, there will always be bookmakers, punters, and gambling. Right? Seth Shaw, which is the chief executive of the casino management company Fifth Street Gaming, and also the founder of the Nevada Esports Alliance, he made this comment. He says that he expects that within the next 5 to 10 years in North America, esports will be the third after the NFL and NBA in terms of total wagering. So we are expecting a huge increase in esports betting of more than 40 times during that time. And once you've got esports betting, you've got esports viewers. Once you've got esports viewers and that starts to grow, the sponsors will come in, right? The tickets will get more expensive. The more and more people will be live streaming it. And all this leads to revenue. And we do expect a lot of growth in revenue for esports and e-gaming companies. And this is one of my last slides, and I just want to kind of talk a little bit about this. What you see here in this photo today is how gaming brought about a whole new different experience. Potentially, this is a glimpse into the future of interactive and entertainment. What is this photo really? This photo was taken in 2019, a snapshot of the popular game Fortnite, which is made by Epic Games. It's a very popular game, and the white-looking man on the DJ table, this was a celebrity DJ that they hired to do an in-game concert. Well, I mean, also I think this was even before COVID. And they had music playing in game. There was very sort of graphics where lights shining around. I actually saw a video of this. Right, your in-game avatars were flying all over the island and then changing in sizes and a lot of nice psychedelic sort of video effects. This concert in the game Fortnite, it was held in game and people attended live using their gaming avatars. When this happened, there were a total of 10 million people that attended the concert in the game. 10 million. How many people can a stadium fit? What, maybe 80,000 for a big stadium? We're talking more than 10 times of that in an in-game concert. So really, I think this gives us a glimpse into the future, like I said, of interactive entertainment, where the worlds of gaming, music, and celebrity combined to create a virtual experience that, we've never quite seen before. This was very innovative. It was the first of its kind. And this is the possibilities of gaming. If today we can have an in-game concert, who knows what's in store for us in the future? Maybe next time There could be in-game webinars like the one that we are doing today. Instead of over Zoom, it's over a game where we've got a live avatar. So I think the possibilities are really infinite. And just a point, I don't have this in my slides, but I've been reading a lot about this quite recently on an interesting game called Axis Infinity, which is a game that allows people to earn money, but not so much earn money. It's more like a game that is based on cryptocurrency and has an in-game economy of cryptocurrency. So people who, there's a cost to the coins, there's a cost to playing the game, and you get to earn coins, etc. And you know what? I don't have a full insights yet. I haven't done that deep research into how exactly the game works, but it sounds like another possible stride of gaming for the future. So Axis Infinity, what I heard about it is that many people, especially in the developing countries, have actually quit their jobs to play this game and earn money out of it, earn good money as well. Again, I don't want to go into that whole debate on whether cryptocurrency is sustainable, not sustainable. Is it going to 100,000 or is it going to zero? But my point being that games transforms these things and creates opportunities. The future and the possibilities of playing games is practically limitless. In-game concerts, you've got cryptocurrency. Who knows what's in store for us in the future? Recognize someone in this photo. This photo is a bit blur, I must say. But if you look at the person right in the middle, in the blue jacket right in the middle, that's none other than Singapore's very own JJ Lin. So JJ Lin in Taiwan has kind of set up his own e-games team. And the point of me showing this photo is that it's not just for JJ Lin, but I want to make a point to say that celebrities are backing e-games, right? They are there, to create their own e-games team, some for profit, some not for profit, but they are huge sponsors of the entire gaming sector. And JJ Lin's not the only one. I mean, Jay Chow, even Shaquille O'Neal, they today have their own e-games teams or have invested in e-games teams to build up as a sport rather than e-games, esports team. And of course, celebrities are not the only sponsors. I've come up with this slide to show everybody the type of sponsors that are, sponsoring esports today. So of course, we've got FIFA in the middle. Who are the sponsors of FIFA? Qatar, Coca-Cola, Adidas, Visa. Oh, very big names, right? Who are the sponsors of the Olympics? Coca-Cola again, Intel, P&G, Toyota, Samsung. If you look at the column on the extreme right, that's ESL, that's the Esports League. Who are the sponsors? Are we looking at small sponsors? No, we're not. It's still Intel, the same sponsor as the Olympics. It's still DHL, AT&T, Pepsi, Vodafone, and Mercedes-Benz. So there are big sponsors and big companies behind esports. Obviously for marketing purposes, for advertising, for brand awareness. The esports in itself today is being considered as a very legitimate form of entertainment with a huge viewership base. In fact, as my slide showed in the finals, more than NBA, more than Wimbledon. And which brings me to my very last slide before I conclude for the day. The gaming sector, when it comes to investing, really, it's not just game developers, right? I mean, we've got a huge number of game developers like Activision Blizzard, we've got Tencent, Capcom, Nintendo. These are just some of the ones that I can think of kind of top of my head. But not only that, right? I mean, do consider looking at the entire e-games ecosystem, right? There's of course the support services, the hardware and software applications. You want to play games, you're going to need chips, Intel. You're going to semicons, TSMC. There's gaming apps that do live streaming, like Phillip or there are a number of hardware and software apps. Well, I think the speakers later would go a lot more deeper into this. But I just want to say that, don't just look at the game developers. I think there's huge room for growth for these game developers, but also the support services, the hardware, software apps, even the communications and infrastructure, the 5G, as gaming grows, telecom companies that invest heavily in 5G, they could see good areas of growth as well. So that brings me to the end of today's presentation. We've got three minutes left. I'm not sure whether there is a time for any Q&A. But Marcus, maybe I'll hand that over to you to.
I think we still have some time left. Would you like to answer one of the questions?
Sure. Well, I see a question from Rayson Xiao, the one that is latest on the chat. Oh wait, sorry. Actually, I should be looking at the Q&A, right? Well, from Stephen, will China's clamp-down on gaming company affect this trend, and by how much do you think it will impact? Do you think other countries will follow? But I think this is the most talked about topic in gaming today, and perhaps some of my later speakers could cover a bit more. But well, will China's clamp-down on gaming companies affect this trend? Look, I think it's a blip. A similar thing happened in 2018. Where China stopped the approvals of games. They started to limit the gaming of people, of gamers. The time limit on gamers today is just a bit more serious. The big game companies, the Tencents of the world in China, they kind of managed to get over it quite well. At the end of the day, I think the Chinese government is looking at three broad aspects, right? Not only gaming, but also, the clamp down on the entire tech sector, on Baba, on Tencent. The three broad topics I see is one, antitrust, two, data security, and three, not wanting to let these companies be too big to fail or too big to control. But at the end of the day, it doesn't benefit the CCP, the China CCP, for any of these companies to really suffer losses or suffer reputational sort of adverse effects on the international platform. So while I think that CCP is trying to reel them in and is trying to control and clamp down on some of these activities, in the long run, I believe this will be embraced by the companies. They have huge regulatory teams, and they will come out of this even stronger than before. So yes, I think there is some short-term impact, which is very clearly for counters like Tencent, in my view, already reflected well in the stock price. And do I think other countries will follow? I don't think many other countries has the capabilities to do so. I think this is one of the things that uniquely only the CCP is able to implement. So no, I do not think that other countries will follow. But then perhaps I will hand over the time to my other panelists today to maybe cover a little bit more about this. So once again, to end off, thank you very much, everyone. Have a good day ahead. It's a very interesting video games day by Phillip Securities, and have a great weekend. Thank you.
Thank you, Jermaine, for the opening presentation that sets the tone for today's webinar. With the rise in the number of gamers worldwide, this will fuel the increase in revenues for the gaming industry. Many of you may be wondering, how can we tap on the gaming opportunity right now? So actually, Nikko Asset Management has launched their first actively managed ETF in Asia on the HK Stock Exchange. This ETF, Nikko AM Active E-Games ETF, aims to achieve long-term capital growth by investing in companies directly or indirectly involved in electronic games, mobile games, and electronic sports business. This ETF is listed in the HK exchange under the ticker 9091 and 3091 to differentiate the USD and HKD trading currency. This ETF has a market cap of around USD 20 million. Interestingly, the top holdings for the Nikko AM Active E-Games ETF includes popular names like Electronic Arts, Activision Blizzard, Sony Group, and Tencent. If you have any questions on trading an ETF using your Poems account, please send an email to etf@phillip.com.sg. In the upcoming presentations, our distinguished speakers will be covering some of these companies, so do continue to stay tuned. Next up, we have Terence Chua, our Senior Research Analyst at Phillip Securities Research, who will be presenting on the Rule of 40 of gaming stocks. Terence, please.
Yep, thanks, Marcus. Can you all see my screen? Just checking if you want. Can you see my screen?
Yes, we can.
Yeah, thanks, Marcus. And thanks, Jermaine, for the insightful talk about the gaming sector. I certainly played Pokemon Go as well when I was younger. It was a really interesting game. So I think what Jermaine did was to sum up some of the key interesting sector trends in the gaming sector. I'm Terence Chua, a Senior Research Analyst at Phillip Securities Research. I focus on the Singapore and US markets, and today we will go through our house view on the gaming sector outlook for 2021. We'll go through some of the key notes and key sector focus in our outlook for the gaming sector. Let me just try to navigate this. So in terms of the content, we'll cover the synopsis of the gaming landscape, start the gaming industry overview, the biggest players in the industry, some of the tailwinds that is supporting the gaming industry today. And we also pick some of the winners and losers in terms of the competition for the gaming pie that the market is going for today. We also use the Rule of 40 analysis and also start the ETF and stock picks in the gaming industry. Of course, Jermaine's Nikko Asset Management, they do some active management as well, so do check that out. And also some resources that you guys can turn to. Before we begin the presentation formally, we also want to share with you that if you have any questions on today's presentation by any of the other speakers, please feel free to put it in the Q&A tab. We'll try to answer them at the end of our presentation. So without further ado, let's go to the poll. We have a short poll before we begin the presentation. Just to better understand our audience, we have over 200 audiences today here with us. Do you play video games? You can put this in the chat box. If you play video games, put 1, and if you don't, just put if you don't play video games, put 2. So this is just for us to better understand whether the group here today plays video games. So we see a few of you are already contributing. Thanks, Mitchell. You play video games. Thanks, Sebastian. Thanks, Wilson. Thanks, Ronnie. Thanks, Ken. Yeah. So it looks like a lot of your actually do play video games. In fact, we have overwhelming. Of course, some of you don't. Brian Tay, you don't. Dominic Tan, and thus you don't. So thanks so much for the thing. Everyone loves video games. Yes, it's true. Yeah. So thanks for the thing. So it looks like our audience here today is very familiar with the video games landscape. We have a second question. My second question: which device do you play games on? Number 1, do you play games on the console? Before you answer, let me finish. Number 2, you play games on PC. If you play games on mobile, put 3. Or if you play on all of the 3 devices, rather, put 4. If you play on multiple devices, then just put. If you play on console and mobile, for example, then put 1 and 3. Yeah. So take a look at the chat. Okay. Shufen, she plays it on mobile. Xiu Qing, PC, thank you. William on PC and mobile as well. Daniel, console and mobile. So overwhelming. Thanks for the responses. We still see a lot of them coming. Kairu, he plays it on mobile, and Lily also plays it on mobile. So it seems like when we look at some of the responses here, many of you guys play play the console on mobile. Of course, some of you guys play on all devices. Kang Jie, he plays on every single device. So it looks like you're really familiar. And Darren, of course, plays it on mobile as well. So overwhelming number of our participants. Thanks so much for your participation. But it seems that overwhelming number of participants play mobile games on, of course, a number of devices. But the most most popular device, at least from this webinar today, seems to come from mobile games. And we'll talk about the mobile opportunity later in the presentation. And of course, Jermaine has talked a little bit about the mobile opportunity. We try to add on to some of those as well. So in terms of our SIP notes, one of the things that we've seen, especially because of COVID-19, the COVID-19 pandemic worldwide, was that it drove increased time spent on video games. When we look at the chart on the left-hand side, this chart here shows the increase in the time spent on video games during the COVID-19 pandemic by region. If you look at across the board, the time spent on video games increased all around the world. And it's most pronounced in Latin America, with the time spent increasing by 52%. In Asia Pacific, that's 42%. And globally, that's 39% increase in the amount of time spent. On the right, the table on the right side, you can see in terms of the minutes spent watching content on Twitch worldwide. So for some of you guys who are already familiar with Twitch, bear with me. But what is Twitch? Twitch is an online platform for users to follow their gamers and watch them play. Something that which Jeremy also elaborated earlier on in his presentation. So if you look at the time spent, when we look at the time spent, people spend watching content on Twitch worldwide, on average, they spend 241 minutes watching Twitch worldwide. That's about 4 hours in 2015. And you can see a steady increase in the amount of time that people spend over the years. But we see what we see as most pronounced was the surge in 2020, with the amount of time spent on Twitch almost nearly doubling from 2019. And we expect this trend to continue. We'll talk about this more in our presentation later. But what this tells you is a global trend towards watching gaming online, also watching on platforms like Twitch and YouTube. In terms of the global markets forecast, this is expected to see a slight dip in 2021, but will recover by 2022. So one of the things that we saw in 2020 was a huge surge. We already saw a rising tide in terms of how the gaming market has increased over the past few years. But what we did see was a surge and sort of a spike in 2020 because of an anomaly for COVID-19. But we do expect in 2020, but we do expect this to kind of fall a little bit in 2021, mainly because of the huge upsurge in 2020. So that on a comparable basis, it will be a bit difficult as people start to go out. So we'll see a slight drop, but we're still maintaining a 7.5% CAGR in terms of growth from 2021 to 2024, and we expect global players to surpass the 3 billion milestone in 2022. You see this here on the table here on your right side, the amount of players actually really surging, coming particularly from China and South Korea. Of course, we have some questions on the impact of China. We try to address that later in our presentation as well. We asked the question early on, and the polls show a huge number of you guys playing on mobile, and that's actually the trend now. We expect mobile gaming revenue to outpace those from console and PC. Mobile games revenue is forecasted to increase 4.4% in 2021. So when we pick some of the stocks that investors can consider investing, one of the things that we look at later on very, very closely is which companies have done a better job in terms of transitioning towards from console and video games towards mobile. And that we think will be the key driver of their revenue growth and also their earnings future forecast. So we have a little pie chart here on the left-hand side. You can see it may be a little bit small. If you guys can't see, maybe let me read out for you. So mobile gaming revenue has already surpassed the rest of the other devices, accounting for 52% of gaming revenue in 2020. For PC, that's 24%, and for console, that's 20%. Cloud or VR is still 4%. We expect this to be driven to be to continue to grow due to continued innovations in mobile monetization, and big console and PC publishers bringing their IP to mobile devices. So they're investing heavily in adapting this to our mobile devices. And also because of markets in Latin America and the Middle East and Africa will continue to drive growth. Consumer spend on games by mobile continue to outpace other major device groups. So if we look at some of the key statistics here, the weekly game downloads in 2020, we have the latest numbers from 2020, increased by 25% versus 2019. Weekly app store spend also increased by 40% versus 2019, and the monthly game spend. And this is a very important metric, and it's because what we want to see is not just how much people are downloading, but how much they're spending. And consumer spend on games increased by 45% versus 2018, driven by games done by Tencent and driven by games by Garena as well. We also show a little table here on the top 100 public companies. We showed 10 because it's possible to show all. And these top 100 public companies saw a 23% year-on-year revenue growth in 2020. So phenomenal double-digit growth in 2020. But we want to caution here also, when you look at some of the names here, they are of course obviously not pure play games company. What we try to do later in our presentation is to try to shortlist those that are pure gaming. But because of course, if you invest in, you see some of the names here, you look at Tencent, obviously, and Sony and Apple, some of them have other business segments. So the numbers can be a bit diluted. And because the gaming segment for Apple is small, they wouldn't have relative to the other businesses, so they don't separate it out on its own. So it's difficult to measure the games growth, so to speak. But you can see some of the big names here like Google, NetEase, Nintendo, Activision, Blizzard, Electronic Arts, and Take-Two Interactive. We'll have a little bit more details on some of the companies later on. So the trend is towards the blurring of lines between console, PC, and mobile. We see three major trends. There are a few cover trends, but we try to highlight some of the major ones. Historically, these three devices are siloed from one another. If you play a game on console, it's not going to be available on mobile. But the trend is towards innovations in cross-platform play, in subscriptions and franchises. So when you have subscriptions and franchises, this drives revenue growth for these gaming players, and also increases the diversity of the revenue source from different platforms. So what this means, in short, is the lines between all of these platforms are blurring. And some of these, like you can see here, the Call of Duty, for example, one of the very popular game worldwide, is now available on mobile. We provide a little bit of image here, and the Minecraft PlayStation 4 edition is also available across different platforms. So the move to mobile will expand their overall total addressable market. And the following examples of Call of Duty and Minecraft are examples of this. Sky is the limit, a little bit pun here, but the cloud gaming revenue will be expected to increase 46% on CAGR to 2023. Cloud gaming, we did a little bit of definition, refers to gaming on demand, which allows the user to play a game on any device without owning the physical hardware required to process it. So in the past, to play a game, you may need a PS3 or PS4 or PS5, but today this is changing. So how the users go about this is to then pay for a subscription revenue, a monthly subscription, and they stream the games they play. This allows them to access a wider amount of games and also allow them to increase the total addressable market when these players play the games. Some of the global players are also entering the fray. There are a couple of them. We'll be a little bit brief because of time. You can see Amazon has ventured into this space, Lunar and Fire TV. Nvidia as well, with their Fortnite and Beyond Light games. Even Google with their Stadia console, and Microsoft as well. But these aren't just the Microsoft, of course, but these aren't just the only players in the industry. We saw Netflix recently announcing plans to enter the video games industry. The Netflix, so the news or the announcement was Netflix intends to add video games to its streaming platform within the next 12 months. Executives from Facebook and Electronic Arts were brought in for this push. So we look at what happened to the shares of Netflix from the period they announced the plans to enter the gaming industry. If you look at the share price chart, it's a little bit small, but we just took this screen from Bloomberg. If you look at the share price chart, it's been a little bit flattish, especially in the last 1 year. It's trended down because of, you see, maybe we go to the share price chart before they announced plans to enter the gaming industry business, just in case some people are wondering why there was a steep drop. There's a steep drop in their share price in the last couple of months, mainly because, and that's the chart here on the left-hand side, mainly because they saw subscription revenue, subscribers numbers start to fall a little bit, mainly because, again, they saw huge growth during the pandemic, but it's come down a little bit. And that's also similar to what we're seeing in the gaming industry today. But people are going out. Some of the lockdown measures are easing, so people are watching less. And so that's why you see the share price taking a very steep fall here in the last couple of months, but it's recovered also. And when they announced the plans, we put the arrow here, when they announced plans to enter the gaming business, we see a very, very sharp decrease in the share price. The reason why there was a sharp decrease in the share price was mainly because there are two main reasons. The first reason is Netflix had previously announced that they were not going to enter the video gaming industry. So for them to backtrack on this plan, to announce that they are entering the gaming industry, was a little bit of a surprise for Wall Street observers. The second reason why the share price saw a steep drop was because the people were a little bit skeptical. The market was a little bit skeptical in terms of their ability to succeed in the gaming industry. Would they be spending a lot of money and then not doing well? But and so that's why you see a little bit of uncertainty, and that's where you see the stock trading sideways for a little. But shortly after that, we see a huge surge in the share price of Netflix. And you can see this increasing by 11% in the last 1.5 months. And it has hit an all-time high. And we believe that the reason why Netflix has hit all-time high, the reason is not because people are expecting more subscriber growth. They are going to see more subscriber growth. But this subscriber growth, like what I mentioned earlier on, is slowing. It's slowing because people are going out more. People are watching less Netflix. People prefer to be traveling. People prefer to be outside. But the reason is because people see that there's some potential in the gaming industry, that the gaming platform that Netflix is going to bring. It's still early days, so we'll be a little bit cautious at this stage until Netflix is able to announce more details for their plans. We'll move on. So mobile gaming, a little bit more details here, but because of time, we'll probably have to move a little bit faster, but it really shows how mobile gaming is on track to surpass $100 billion, driven by mobile spending on home game consoles and also on PC. Global App Store revenue continue to dominate revenue generation for both iOS and Android. This is driven by ads, adless experiences, in-game cosmetics, pre-versions, and gifting. So some of the top mobile games by revenue worldwide are PUBG Mobile, Honor of Kings, Pokemon Go, and so they topped the chart again for 3 years in a row. If you look here at the table on your left, you can see PUBG Mobile and Honor of Kings. Both games are from Tencent, and they topped the charts for mobile games in 2020. Of course, you have some of the others like Coin Master, Roblox, and Monster Strike also making the chart. In-app game spending in 2020 was up nearly a third because of the pandemic. The third trend is the rise of esports. I think Jermaine did a wonderful presentation on esports earlier on. So esports is really a competitive gaming at a professional level and in an organized format. It's a tournament or league with a specific goal, usually winning a champion title or prize money, and a clear distinction between players and teams that are competing against each other. So we won't go through some of these. You will probably make the slides available to you. The live viewership on Twitch and YouTube hit a record. 91.9 million hours were clocked for League of Legends on Twitch and YouTube, which is a record. And the League of Legends Champions Korea Summer was the most watched league by live viewership hours on Twitch and YouTube, generating 53.9 million hours. So we definitely see the trend riding here on esports. Maybe we go to the next poll. One of the tool that the research team use in selecting stocks, growth stocks like gaming stocks, is we use a formula called the rule of 40, and some of you may have heard it, but bear with me. So in this poll, we want to ask you which is the most important determinant of the share price of a company. So if you think it's revenue, put 1. If you think it's EBITDA, put 2. And if you think it's net profit, put 3. If you think it's book value, put 4. Okay, so we see some of the responses coming in again. Thanks so much for participating. We see from Raymond, he thinks revenue is the most important. From Brian, he thinks net profit is the most important. Anson thinks revenue. Melanie thinks it's EBITDA. Revenue from Wilson, Sebastian, Mitchell, revenue. So thanks so much for the responses. Patrick thinks it's revenue and net profit. Yeah. Okay, thanks. So thanks so much for the participation. So there's an overwhelming number of you who think that the most important determinant of the share price of a company is actually revenue and net profit, and that seems to be the overwhelming majority view of this. But some of you also highlighted that net profit is important, but the question then is, what happens if the company is investing a lot in growth, but they are not able to? Is investing a lot in growth, and do not have any net profit, then that can be challenging. So what we do is to apply the rule of 40 as a tool in stock picking. So what is the rule of 40? What the rule of 40 does is to add the revenue growth rate with the EBITDA margin. And if this surpass the 40% hurdle, then what we do is we actually select this stock. Why is the rule of 40 important? The rule of 40 is important because some companies may not be profitable early on. So, and companies usually have to balance between driving revenue growth and also investing in capex like games development, R&D, and also in sales and marketing spend. So they may not necessarily have the profit. So when we look at EBITDA margin, this provides a better gauge of some of these profits. We'll skip this a little bit. So to help everybody understand this better, we show a little bit of a case study. So when we look at we look at this case study from Electronic Arts. So Electronic Arts, or EA, in short, develops, publishes, and distributes branded interactive and entertainment softwares for video game consoles. Some of their leading titles are FIFA, Madden, NFL, and Star Wars. So when we look at the rule of 40 formula, what we do is to take the revenue growth rate, and then we sum this up with the EBITDA margin. And what you can see here, the 1.7% revenue growth rate, and we sum this with the EBITDA margin, 23.9. You can see that this only gives us 25.6%. So it failed to cross the hurdle. So in this case, the Electronic Arts were failed to cross the rule of 40 hurdle. We need to look at the next example, Take-Two Interactive. They also publish games. Some of the popular rated games are Grand Theft Auto, Major League Baseball, and NBA as well. So when we look at the rule of 40 formula, they see some very good growth rates, 11.5% growth rates. And when we look at the EBITDA margin, 30.2%, this means that it's not only able to grow their revenue, but it's also able to keep a lid on cost. Because you don't want the question is, if you keep growing revenue at the expense of cost, then the question is how long you can sustain. Some companies that have done that, like Grab. Some companies that have done that are like WeWork, and some of them they are lucky because they turn profitable later on, but some companies then go bankrupt. we just go to the gaming stocks and ETF stock picks. So what we try to do here is to really pick some of the more pure play gaming stocks, and we summarize it in this table here. We have if you look at some of the more popular gaming stocks that investors can gain exposure to, they are like Tencent, C Limited. C Limited, of course, is not just a gaming platform. They have other popular brands that you guys may be more familiar with, like Shopee. And then you have Nintendo, which my colleague might talk about later. Activision, Blizzard, Electronic Arts, Take-Two Interactive, and Ubisoft Entertainment from Europe. So if you look across the table, PEs in across the gaming sector is not excessive. It's about 22, 23 times PE compared to the S&P's 40. So we do think the gaming sector has potential, and most of the gaming stocks are also above the rule of 40. What we do is we take the 3-year average sales. Why is it that we take 3-year average sales instead of 1 year? Because this kind of smoothen out some of the returns for revenue. If you look at Zoom's revenue last year, it would have been 1,000%. That's not indicative. That could be one off, or some of the glove company could be 1,000% revenue growth. So what we do when we look at 3-year revenue growth rate is to try to smoothen out some of these earnings, and then we sum this up with the EBITDA margin to give us the rule of 40. Some of the popular video gaming ETF as well. Of course, the Nikko Asset Management has some, but we highlight some of the ETF. Very little pure play ETF list. Sorry, I think my video is a little bit disrupted. Let me just remove it. Okay, thanks. Yeah, okay. And you see some of the top holdings for some of these companies like Facebook, Alphabet, Tencent, Nvidia, AMD, and C Limited as well. In terms of resources, we have a few resources. We have some of the rule of 40. If you want to find out more about the rule of 40, you can go to our Poem's website, and we have some of this information as well. So I think I should wrap up my presentation. If you have any questions, please feel free to contact me. I provided my email here. If you have any questions on the gaming sector, or any questions on Singapore or US market related company related news or questions, feel free to contact me on my email. Otherwise, that's all the time I have. Thanks so much for your time. I will probably take one question from here before I pass back the time to Marcus and my next colleague, Kazuhino Sasaki, my colleague from Japan. Okay, so we have one question here. Let me go to my slot. Which are the I think we have one question here from Kenneth. Which are the fastest growing gaming company? Oh, okay, so maybe we can go back to my previous slide here. So when we look at some of the if you look at the 3-year average sales, some of the fastest growing sales companies are Tencent. Of course, we are a little bit more cautious about Tencent now, given the geopolitical situation in China. Garena as well, through C. Of course, with C, you get a little more exposure into some of the others. And Take-Two Interactive is seeing very fast growth as well. One of the things that we want to highlight, but we didn't have time to highlight in today's presentation, is it's important when we look at these gaming companies, it's important to look at some of the pipeline. Their gaming pipeline, of course, is what they have also, their gaming portfolio, but it's also important to look at the pipeline of games that are coming out. To think about it, it's something similar to the pharmaceutical companies. What's the pipeline of drugs that will come out? But the question then is, can they be blockbuster? That is a little bit difficult to answer, and it's also not for today's presentation. So that's all from me, and thanks for bearing with me, and thank you for your time. I'll hand the time now to Marcus. Thanks.
Thank you, Terence, for your interesting sharing. Indeed, it is very interesting to see how we can apply the rule of 40 on gaming stocks. Our next session will be presented by our guest speaker, Kazuhiro Sasaki, General Manager at Research Department of Phillip Securities Japan Limited. Sasaki-san?
Hi.
Hi, Sasaki. Would you like to share your screen?
Okay, wait a minute. Get ready.
You can see your screen, Sasaki-san.
Can I begin?
Yes, yes, please start.
Okay. Hello, everyone. I'm Kazuhiro Sasaki, Phillip, Japan. Today, for a video game day, I will talk about the Tokyo Olympics and Japanese gaming stocks through this webinar. I hope this presentation would be informative and meaningful to you. Let's start. Sorry. Oh, wait a minute. On July 23rd, the whole world watched as the athletes of the Tokyo 2020 Olympic Games made their entrance in the opening ceremony amid the famous songs from some of the most popular Japanese game titles. It was a shame that Japan's largest video game soft creating company, Nintendo, did not have any of their songs featured in the lineup. However, a total of 19 theme songs were selected. Of the 5 video game soft companies who did have their songs in lineups, Square Enix had 9 songs from their game title selected, making them the #1 contributor to the soundtrack for the parade. It looks like that most of Japanese people, even with little knowledge of video games, have heard the music of Dragon Quest and Final Fantasy. Following up with the second most songs was Bandai Namco, with 4 of their songs featured, and the rest, Capcom, Konami, and Sega, tied for 3rd place with 2 songs each. Due to the increasing digital distribution of recent games, it would not be a surprise if hearing music from older game titles could have contributed to download purchases. By the way, among these music pieces, my most favorite is this. Oh, do you know what title this music is from? This is a Monster Hunter's Proof of Hero. Very fantastic music. Regarding the Tokyo Olympics, this year around May to June, the International Olympic Committee, IOC, hosted a separate event from the Tokyo Olympics for virtual sports called the Olympic Virtual Series, OVS, featuring 5 esports, including baseball, bicycle racing, car racing, sailing, and boat racing. Konami's e-baseball Powerful Professional Baseball 2020 game was adopted for the baseball portion. The Pro Evolution Soccer 2018 was also adopted for a demonstration at the 18th Asian Games held in Jakarta, Indonesia. Considering the growth rate of esports-related sales revenue, the increasing number of spectators, as well as the contribution amount from sponsors, it is quite likely that esports will be recognized and featured alongside actual physical sports, such as future Olympics events and other international sport tournaments. Look at this. The expected combined annual growth rate from 2019 to 2024 of esports revenue is 11.1%. The expected combined annual growth rate of esports audience is 7.7%. And of 2021 year esports revenue, sponsorship accounts for 60%. So esports is going to be very effective and important means of attracting larger attention for people involved in international sports events and of course IOC. Now let's move on to the next. I'd like to introduce a game and animation related ETF, Global X Japan Games and Animation ETF, ticker code 2640. This ETF is the first ETF on the Tokyo Stock Exchange to invest in Japanese companies with a large presence in the game industry, as well as companies that are active in the manga, comic, and animation industry. Newly listed this year in June, the ETF is composed of 20 stocks names and aims to track the fluctuation in the market cap weighted selective Japan Games and Animation Index. This chart shows that selective Japan Games and Animation Index has outperformed much topics, including dividend, for nearly 5 years. And in the short term, Global X Japan Games and Animation ETF's price climbed higher from 3 weeks ago. There seems to be a background of the following changing environment. The game and animation related sector, with recently taking great strides in digitalization and changing to cloud-based platforms, have expectations as a new growth area for new technologies incorporating the metaverse, such as virtual reality, VR, and augmented reality, AR. For Japanese companies strong in content creation, the shift from paper to digital in animation industry, including manga, comic, and the shift from TV and movie to online video streaming platforms such as Netflix, creates big opportunities for growth. This shows top 10 market caps that makes up Global X Japan Games and Animation ETF. Lineups are Sony, Nintendo, Cyber Agent, Bandai Namco, Konami, Koei Tecmo, Capcom, Nexon, Square Enix, and Toei Animation. Among these individual stocks, I'd like to pick up 4 stocks. The first is Cyber Agent. It was an internet advertising agency company in original, now launched media business via Abema TV station, as well as game business via smartphone games. For their cumulative 9 months of 2021 fiscal year results, game business segment accounted for 88% of total operating income. Their latest smartphone game, Uma Musume Pretty Derby, released in February this year, was a great hit, generating 9 million downloads as of July 20th, and continued to be #1 sales ranking App Store and Google Play in Japan. In the game, players train racehorse characters to compete and win in races using actual famous racehorses as models. Like this. The game has been converted into TV animation, manga comic, and songs, generating interest from a wide range of viewers. Uma Musume game characters are like this. I don't know why, but even male thoroughbred horses in real world are all pretty girls in this game's world. And at Winner's Circle, winners and losers get together to sing songs on the concert. The second is Nintendo. Let's see this picture of comparison between Sony and Nintendo. Firstly, in the hardware platform area, measuring by the number of users utilizing the game communication network via a monthly pet subscription service, Sony's PlayStation has already over 100 million accounts. Whereas Nintendo, as a latecomer, has its membership users growing steadily alongside Nintendo Switch platform sales. Secondly, in the game IP intellectual properties area, despite Nintendo leading by far, Sony is catching up via its subsidiary Aniplex release of the global blockbuster Demon Slayer Kimetsu no Yaiba, the movie, expected to be converted into GameSoft IP in the near future. Thirdly, in the related field other than game, Sony is still the unrivaled lead in movies and music. However, Nintendo has started to make use of its abundant game IP licenses in its launch of theme park Super Nintendo World in collaboration with Universal Studios. The third stock is Capcom. They have produced internationally popular game software, including Street Fighter, Biohazard, and Monster Hunter. In the latest financial result, their main digital content business segment was supported by new games, release of popular series of Biohazard and Monster Hunter, as well as sales of their older series games via their digital distribution channel. The company hosts the international esports official competition Capcom Pro Tour, featuring their Street Fighter game and hold the Capcom Cup International competition for the finalists. This year, from October, the company plans to host a competition called Street Fighter League in Japan, and participants backed by team owners. Street Fighter is like this. The last picked up stock is Konami Holdings. Catching wind from the increasing support base for esports, they see strong growth in the eFootball Pro Evolution Soccer game internationally, and the professional baseball splits ace and play-by-play broadcast powerful professional baseball games domestically. eFootball PS is like this. And professional baseball splits ace is like this. Let me sum up. The International Olympic Committee's holding of esports events ahead of Tokyo Olympics is expected to accelerate the expansion of the esports market. Game industry will grow in response to the tailwind. That's all my presentation.
Thank you, Sasaki-san. We still have some time remaining. Would you like to answer some questions?
Yes, of course, sure.
Okay. So I think we have one here from Ronnie, who asks, to Kazuhiro-san, from which countries or region are the players of PlayStation and Nintendo coming?
Which players?
Yes.
Sorry, could you repeat?
Which countries or region are the players of PlayStation and Nintendo coming from?
Both of PlayStation and Nintendo basically they collect players all over the world. Japan is not so much ratio of the world. So United States, and from United States and Europe, they are the most major countries. They derived from participants.
Okay.
Does that answer the question?
Okay, Ken. Thank you, Sasaki-san. I don't think we have any other questions for you.
Okay.
Do you have anything you would like to share at the end? We still have a lot of time to remain. If not, we'll move on to the next speaker.
Oh. So I'll check the Q&A.
I think we have one more follow-up question. One of our attendees are asking, are we seeing more players coming from other regions such as Latin America?
Oh. So especially for Nintendo, the problem Nintendo also recognize is to correct game users from emerging countries such as Latin America and other emerging markets. So I think they will make efforts to expand markets, expand their products by making some kind of reasonable devices.
Okay, we have one more question before maybe the last question. How does Japanese video gaming industries view competition from US companies?
US company. So concerning creating a game soft and by IP, intellectual property, Japanese companies have strong capabilities compared to United States companies. But for example, about esports, such as esports, great market expansion. United States companies, gaming companies, will be good at exploiting that opportunities better than Japanese companies.
Okay, thank you, Sasaki-san, for joining us today. Our last session for today will be by our investment specialists, Mike and Wan-Xing, who will share more about the future trends of gaming industry in different regions. Hi, Mike. Mike, I think you're muted.
Okay, sorry. Okay, I need to share the screen first. Okay, can you all see my screen?
Yes, we can.
Okay, today we'll be actually talking about this, the video gaming industry. What is the growth and opportunity? I think from the previous few so-called presenter, we know quite a lot of knowledge about this. So I'll give actually more of a macro view. Actually, our key focus is still during the IG where we'll talk about more as a panelist discuss all this. So here is the disclaimer. Okay, so what we will actually be discussing, we just talk about some of the gaming demographic. After that, my colleague Wan-Xing will be sharing more about mobile gaming versus PC and console gaming. So actually, how gaming really start, right? It's actually started even in the 15th century. this is actually, I think a lot of speaker today is actually focusing on about mobile gaming, PC gaming, but actually the gaming, right, is actually come from what we know as a board game or the card game. So it started off in the 15th century. So it has been around this for a long time. And only in the first console, right, is come in only in the 1970s, right? Whereas the first game is called, Pong. So it's actually try to stimulate like a tennis, two-player playing a tennis. So this is actually how the first gaming console come into play. At that point, I think it's maybe most of us is not really born yet. Subsequently, they actually start to develop home gaming. So this is actually the first home gaming console. I would say that during the first few stages, right, there's quite a lot of manual work they to do adjustment. It's not like now we play the game, all this, they have to do all these settings, all this. And I think one of the most popular game, right, is in the 1978 is actually the Space Invader. So actually this game, right, it had actually started, I would say that in Japan, right, at one point, right, even caused the shortage of the currencies, the coins, because too many people want to play the game and there's not sufficient coins in the arcade to even play all these games. So you can see actually the arcade game also start to develop from there. And subsequently, you also see that actually the card game continue to develop. Anyone want to make a guess? I'm not sure whether anyone play Magic the Gathering. So it's actually I only start playing during my NS because I see that some of my NS friends playing more this kind of card game. So it's actually, I play this game, it's actually kind of interaction with my national service friends, right? We still meet up maybe once or twice per year to meet up and chat and play this game also. So anyone want to try to make a guess, what is this Black Lotus market? Can type inside the chat, see how much your guess this game is, this card worth. Maybe anyone want to put a value? Someone say $90. I think you can go much higher. Much higher, 200 is also too little. 2000 is too little. Come on, try. 10,000 is also too little. 50,000 is also too little. It's very interesting. Anyone want to have a higher bid? Okay, it's not 1 million, but it's actually around 100 over K. So imagine just if you're holding this Black Lotus card, starting from and you're well maintaining this card, right? It's actually worth over 100K USD. So you can see actually this one is the potential of what we develop into the NFT game later on. So other than Magic the Gathering, right, I think most of you also know the Pokemon Go card. So Pokemon Go card, you also start to play Pokemon Go Charizard. Anyone want to try to make a guess of this card value now? It's the first generation, and if you take care of the group, take very care of this card, right? Actually worth a lot value. So anyone try to make a guess of this value now? Someone say 4,000. I think it's still too little. Okay, so I think 500K is a bit too much. So it's also, I think in the latest it's around 160 plus K worth of US value. So you can see actually this card game, right, continue to develop along the way. So it's actually priced as a so-called price token. All these people continue to hold on. So subsequently, we also see different type of game. So you can see also there's actually Pokemon Go. That's actually the first so-called AR VR game that we came to know all this. And now I think just now someone also highlight Axie Infinity. This one is actually very, very popular. If those who are in I would say that blockchain or crypto space, you will definitely know this game. So this game later I will share a bit more during the IG live. So this webinar will just focus on talking about the macro demographic first. So actually you can see that in the previous presenter, all this you mentioned that actually mobile gaming has been growing very fast. Because why it has been growing very fast? It's everyone can easily get a mobile phone, but to get a PC console, get a so-called PS5, right, it's not so easy. That's why mobile gaming has been growing very fast. And with the development of all this 5G, right, and also you help even further for this on mobile gaming. So we expect mobile going to grow at a fast rate. So mobile gaming is worth around 98 billion in 2020, and by 2030, right, expected to be around 272 billion. So you can see the actual potential growth with annual compound annual growth rate around 11% over 10 years. So you can see a lot of developers, right, you start to focus building on mobile gaming instead of the normal PC. I think just now, everyone might, if you play game, right, I think one of the popular game from Japan is what you know is Final Fantasy. So actually, I played that game. Is actually on used to be actually on PSP, so it's actually quite troublesome. So in that at that point of stage, we have to buy the console. But now I think with the development, actually, we just have a normal computer, even more phone, we can play quite a lot of games already. So anyone want to try to make a guess, what is the best selling video game of all time? I think this game, right, even your parents, most of them actually played before. Super Mario, I think why everyone make Super Mario? Okay, it's this game where we actually use it to blocks. They come with different shape. But this is actually one of the it's actually the best popular games. So yes, I think one of you Ryan managed to get this correct. So yes, this is actually the most popular game. I think when we are young, right, we play this. I think most of our parents also play this kind of game before. It's very simple. You just have a simple game console, maybe around $10, $20. You can start to play this game. And I would say that it's very, very simple game, but it's quite addictive at that point of time. So this is actually quite interesting. Okay, so you actually also see that how the active video gamer growth over from 2015 to 20 expected for 2023. So you can see actually the game active video gamer has been growing very fast also. So you can see from 1.9, so I expect to grow to around 3.07. So they can actually, when there's more gamer, they also help to actually generate more revenue for this whole industry. And what I think just now a lot of people have concern, what are the top video gaming market in the world? I would say that China and US are the leading one, followed by Japan and subsequently all the different countries. So one thing is that in the recent months, right, we have heard about China doing crackdown on this because they want to actually so-called control their whole economy. They want to make it into a more sustainable growth. Right? So if you really understand the 14 5-year plan of China, right, then you start to understand why actually China has been doing all this crackdown. So I will expect this continued tightening of all this tech and also different industry in China over the next few years because they are actually going for a long-term growth too. They hope to actually double their GDP by 2035, but they want to actually tidy up all this and slowly open to the whole world economy. So that's why you see a lot of crackdown. I expect crackdown to continue forward. And why do actually people really play game? First, we play game because in living in the current world, right, it's actually quite stressful. So actually playing game, right, actually help us to do some sort of relaxation. And sometimes gaming, when you're playing game, you can also come up with solution to a real life problem and bring joy. Just now I also mentioned that I play some of this card game, right? I started to play is because to do connection with my friend, because with different group of friends, like sometimes they play different games, sometimes we play even Mobile Legends, sometimes we play this Magic Gathering the card, and sometimes even simple board game like Monopoly, right, also can help to bond family. So gaming is not just about just playing a game. Some games actually do have allow bonding factors that help to actually strengthen the relationship also. So what is the average gaming spend per hour? So by country, where you can see all these different countries. And Singapore-wise, I would say that on average spend in a week, I think most of us spend around 5 to 0.85 hours. So maybe when you're, sometimes we actually, let's say, travel to work or travel to meet friends, right? Along the way, maybe we'll be using our mobile phone, reading news, or sometimes we even playing games. So that's actually the number of hours that gamers spend. And they'll be quite surprising that what is the hour spent by playing video game by different age group in 2020. So you can see, I would say that the younger generation like us will tend to spend a bit more hours. Even the older generation, you can see actually 40 and above or 60 and above, right? They also do play some sort of video gaming. Even my dad, right? They also play. Just now, I think Candy Crush, someone mentioned. Yes, Candy Crush is very, very simple because they have, other than just watching TV, sometimes they just need to relax a bit. So they play this kind of games. Okay, next up, I will pass to Wan Xing to cover the next section, because for our start, right, we'll be focusing on the IG Live there, where we have a lot more updates. Thank you.
Hello, this is Wan Xing. Can you hear me? Mike, can you hear me, right? Yeah.
Yes.
Okay, so thanks, Mike, for the brief introduction on basically the macro gaming demographic, and now I will be sharing a bit on the mobile gaming and the PC and the console gaming. And so stay with us. There will be a lively IG discussion after this short warm-up session. So basically from here, we can see in 2018, right, the New Zoom has such prediction for the gaming industry growth based on the previous years. And we can see from 2015 to 2018, there was a huge growth in the mobile gaming industry. And anyone, I want to guess what the reason is from the 2015 to 2018, you can see the mobile gaming growth jump from the 34% to even 51%. So maybe you can type your reason, your guess in the chat. Well, actually, this mobile gaming, right? Mike, next. So basically, right, this huge iPhone, yeah, iPhone. Actually, this is a modern welfare. Mike, can you go to the previous slides? Okay. Online group play. Okay, so actually, you can see from here, it was predict the growth and it will not be slowed down. This is because if we look into the smartphone penetration rate, right, we can see, we can find out from the 2016 onwards, the smartphone penetration rate is also booming. Smartphone, the device for mobile gaming, gradually becomes a main role in our public life, and definitely iPhone is one of them, which is the crystal of our modern life. And next, so by the Huawei, yeah, true. Okay, so and by 2020, mobile game now actually become the mainstream in the gaming industry and accounting for 48%. And anyone can guess in China, what is the percentage of the mobile gaming industry in terms of the whole gaming industry? The percentage is really high. The percentage is really high. 80. Okay. Okay, actually it's around 80%. So the mobile gaming industry accounts accounts for 75%. 75% of the whole China gaming industries. And globally saying, right, in terms of the user numbers, there are 2.8 billion on mobile gaming, while 4.4 billion users on PC and 0.9 billion users on console. And Mike, next. Here is the age difference among these three sectors. And actually, we can see the young generation are the main force for the mobile gaming. And just some additional information in that, Gen Alpha and Gen Z basically also born in 1995 and onwards. And for them, right, game is not only game. Right, next one. So game is not only game. This sample survey shows that 68% of young generation like to play game because they like to play with friends. As I believe a lot of people play Pokemon Go before, right? Because they have this interaction with different people and with your friends. This actually create the atmosphere between you and your friends. And during that time, if you don't play Pokemon game, right, you do not have the same topics with your friends. And same for the Gen Alpha and Gen Z, and even more young, broader young generations, game is not only about game. And in today's context, game is social. So if you play game, I believe you encounter such situation before you go to play a new game. Because your friends are playing this, and the mobile game has the easiest access as compared with console and the PC, because you do not need to buy those like accessories, for example, PS5, the Switch. And for this, it can meet young people's needs. And another reason why mobile gaming now it's trending actually is because for the mobile game, right, when you play, actually you can, it's either it is very short. It will not take, for example, half an hour or even an hour during your casual life, or it can stop as you want. So as today we are in a very fast-paced societies. So in these fast-paced societies, as a working adult, maybe as like us, you do not have a lot of time to play game. So actually, mobile gaming on your smartphone or on your tablet is a good choice for you during your casual life. However, for the console game as well as your PC game, when you start to play those traditional I would like to search traditional big game like Final Fantasy, as mentioned before. Also, you want to start, but you need to find the save point, which during this period it spend a lot of time, and you for your personally actually you cannot control this life. And a lot of people may wonder why China, the mobile gaming, right? The mobile gaming accounts for so much compared with the global statistics. Actually, there's one main reason is because for the console gaming and PC gaming, for China, they have the restriction in terms of the game approval license, as well as the console approval license. Means what? Means if you want to buy for example, if you want to buy the Switch, you can buy the Switch, buy the official China version Switch, and in terms of game, you cannot download freely. So because of those restrictions, people are intending to play mobile games because for them, right, mobile phone they can use for other. The mobile phone is not only for games specifically, but if you buy the Switch, you only can download several games under the restriction. Then somehow it is a waste of money, and this actually is the main reason for the China why the mobile gaming accounting for 75% of the total gaming industry. Yeah. So today, for now, actually, it's just a brief sharing about like the gaming industry and the demographic. So you can have some questions here. You can ask us, and we can try to answer. And the most important thing is you join us for the later IG live discussion, and we will be sharing more in terms of the whole global game demographic and the future trends of the gaming. So now, can I have some questions from you guys?
Okay, one thing maybe just I think the most question I think most people want to know is actually how will the China crackdown on all this gaming continue to take effect going forward?
Okay, so personally speaking, right, first of all, I think this crackdown, basically same point as you, is this crackdown will continue to exist for quite a long time. There are several problems. Okay, so this crackdown, first of all, is not only specifically targeting game. Game is just one industry for the government to look into. And because of the reason why they look into is because I believe you guys heard some, if you look at some China news, right, you guys may heard some like news, for example, a 12-year-old boy, they spend like millions Chinese yuan in their game, basically in their mobile game lah. So because of this, you need to understand actually those like children, those kids, if they play without control, so they may really did something not controlled by themselves, like they just anyhow spend a lot of money. So this is because of this, actually a lot of adults, it's not really the government, our government look into this issue, and a lot of adults want to have such restrictions on. And I would like to say personally, this restriction in terms of the children actually will not affect the revenue a lot. Why? Because I mean, the news is very scary, but it is still a special case. And if you look into the Tencent, it's okay, China people is rich. No, not everyone is rich. So basically, if you look into the Tencent's gaming revenue, right, they are still grow organically. So it means what? Even with these restrictions and even with China's China government's policy and the regulatory, they actually, for those major players, like me, okay, so I play a lot of games, mobile games, and I do really spend money on the games. So a lot of major players actually is still the adults. So the kids and the children, their spending power is still not really, it's basically the children, their spending power is not the support of the revenue of the Tencent mobile game lah, but it's the people like working adults like us. So we may spend money on this. So this you can see from the NetEase. It's also a game producer company in China. If you look into their financial report, actually their revenue is still growing organically. So this is the first thing. The second thing is actually for now, right, China government is trying to tightening the game license approval. Means what? Okay, so means for foreign games, it becomes harder. It becomes harder to it becomes harder for the foreign games to enter into China industries. So in terms of this, right, actually, if you see all the games in China, actually they are produced by the China game producer, for example, Tencent, NetEase, and other game studios, domestic game studios. So with this tightening, also we can see there's some effects on the domestic games producers. However, it is also helps those in a positive way, which means for the foreign competitors, they are hard. It is more difficult for them to enter into China this market. And we all know actually for China market, it is very big for the video gaming and especially for the mobile gaming. So if you look into this way, right, actually for the domestic game producers, they also benefit from this policy and the regulations. But I would like to say because of the China, China got a lot of people, so you cannot really control those children and children and the kids. So basically, this tightening regulations actually I would like to say, help those parents a little bit lah. And we cannot say this tightening is a policy that will affect in a long term, because the gaming industry in China actually boomed very, very fast. And during this booming, right, a lot of regulations actually is not on time. So we can, and this time actually is China government want to regulate the whole internet industry. And with this those regulatory, right, actually can help the whole industry growing healthily, and it do benefit the whole industry in a long term lah. This is my thoughts. Yeah.
Okay, I think we have time for one more question. Wan-Xing, would you like to answer one last question?
Let me see.
Okay, maybe I have to answer one question. Someone has answered, a lot of people play online gaming, but who is willing to pay is another thing. Actually, for gaming wise, there's a few ways they can actually generate revenue. Because when you pay online gaming, yes, some of the game you should need to purchase upfront. Some games are free. When those games are free, right, they usually come with some sort of other ways to earn money, whether is it through advertisement or whether is it through branding, selling branding, or even selling a customized costume, or even different weapons, or this on the, how to say it, personalize your whole characters. So in that case, a lot of people are still willing to do that, because sometimes in the online world, maybe in the real life world, right, they can't actually have dress up very fanciful, or there's certain restriction code. But in the online world, with all this special costume, all this, actually many people are willing to pay for this to personalize their characters. So in that case, you can see actually this is actually another way of generating revenue.
Yes, so basically I'm a live example for those who would like to spend a lot of money in the game. Yeah, so basically you need to understand, for game designer, right, they will also design a lot of activities actually. If the game is free, actually the game designer, because I talked to game designer before with my friend was a game designer. So when we talk to them, when they're doing those activities, right, actually they will put some psychology side, they will think about a lot of psychology factor. So they will design those activities, especially for people, especially for the users, and actually those activities will trigger your, trigger your willing to pay for those things in the game lah. Yeah.
Okay, I think some of the other question, right, like for example, sharing of Axel Infinity, all this will be sharing inside the IG Live, because we need to switch from here to the IG Live. We'll be doing IG Live, and during the IG Live, there'll be actually a prize to be won. So later when I share the IG Live, right, join our IG Live, and do take note, some of the points that I'll highlight specifically, you need to take out of the point, because that will be the answer for the giveaway later on. Yeah, so I think we'll take around a 5 minutes break from here. Then now we'll go into IG Live.
Okay, see you
Then
guys.
I'll see you there, because we need to do adjustment settings.
Yeah. Thank you, Mike and
It's
Wansing.
something quite new for us. Okay.
Thank you, Mike and Wansing. With that, we have come to the end of the webinar, and we sincerely thank you for joining us today. We will actually be moving on here to our Instagram Live, where our speakers from today will be joining as panelists and continuing the discussion on video games. Scan the QR code now on the left to join to follow our Instagram and join our Instagram Live. We will begin the Instagram Live at around 11:25. So you still have some time to scan the QR code.
Okay, see you there.
You can join our Instagram Live and stand a chance to win a Razer keyboard via our giveaway. We are also currently running an Instagram giveaway. You can scan the QR code to directly visit the post. To participate, just follow the instructions on the post and you stand a chance to win one of the 3 prizes we have here listed for today. Once again, thank you for joining our webinar, and we'll see you soon.
Marcus, maybe you switch back to the link to the IG Live. I think they are interested to join in the chat.
If you have liked our webinar today and are interested in some of the gaming stocks that we have shared, feel free to scan the QR code on the right to open an account with Poems and start buying some of these stocks and ETFs. Scan the QR code on the left to join our Instagram Live happening in about 2 minutes. Hello everyone, thank you for joining our webinar today, and we sincerely thank you for joining us. We'll be moving on here to our Instagram Live, where our speakers from today will be joining as panelists to continue the discussion on the video games industry. Scan the QR code on the left to join us now and find out how you can stand a chance to win a Razer keyboard just by attending our Instagram Live. If you have liked the webinar today and are interested in some of the gaming stocks that we have shared, feel free to scan the QR code on the right to open an account with us and start buying some of these stocks and ETFs. Hi all, thank you for joining our webinar today, and we sincerely thank you for attending. We'll be moving on here to our Instagram Live, where our speakers from today will be joining as panelists and continuing the discussion on video games. Scan the QR code on the left to join us now and find out how you can stand a chance to win the Razer keyboard just by attending our Instagram Live. If you have liked the webinar today and interested in some of the gaming stocks that we have shared, feel free to scan the QR code to open an account with us and start buying some of these stocks and ETFs. We will be ending the webinar now, so please scan the QR code to join our Instagram Live. Hi all, thank you for joining our webinar today. We'll be moving on here to our Instagram Live, where our speakers from today will be joining as panelists to continue the discussion on the video games industry. Please scan the QR code on the left to join our Instagram Live now. Stand a chance to win a Razer keyboard when you join our Instagram Live. In addition, we also are running an Instagram giveaway where we have prizes such as Razer keyboards, and Nintendo Switch. Scan the QR code to visit the post and follow the instructions to participate. Thank you all for attending today.